Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 26 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and where I get into all kinds of other crafty shenanigans. I'm happy to have you here with me today, and if you're a new viewer, thank you so much for coming out and checking me out. I hope you like it here and stick around. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another week to spend some time with me and see what I've managed to accomplish in the past week. I'm happy to have all of you here. We've got kind of like a gray, overcast day here today. It's warm, it's muggy, but nah. We're into the beginning of August now. Today is Saturday, August the 1st, 2020. And yeah, the summer's starting to... We're in the hottest part of the summer, it seems to me. Not a huge fan of the heat, but oh well, not much I can do about it while I'm living here. So what else did I want to... I don't think there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, there was. Sorry. One little bit of administrative notes. Last week I had a draw for, or a giveaway for having my 25th podcast, and I had put one of my skeins of hand-dyed sport weight yarn up for grabs. I've done the draw, and by the time you're watching this, I should have already posted the giveaway winner announcement video. So I thought, instead of tying it in with this video, I thought, well, I'll just do a separate video just with that alone. So I'll try to remember to put a little iCard up in the corner to have you go and check the other video. But if you just go to the main page of my channel under the videos, it'll be the video that came out. I'll post it first, and then I'll finish editing this video and I'll get that posted. So the winner will have the skein of yarn they selected sent out in the mail. Today's Saturday afternoon. My post office is already closed, so I will get that out in the mail on Monday for the winner. Alrighty, so let's just get into the regular part of the podcast, and I want to start off first with showing you or talking about my finished object this week. So, you may have noticed I have my Stillness shawl is all done. This pattern, the Stillness shawl, was a mystery knit along. It's a pattern by Helen Stewart of The Curious Handmade. And for this pattern, I used yarn that I dyed myself. So I did it in 2 shades of purple and this gray. The black showing up here is just the shirt underneath the shawl. So it's in the 3 colors, 2 purples and the 1 gray. It's yarn, again, I dyed myself. It's fingering weight yarn. I used 4mm needles, or a US size 6. And I cast it on originally, I believe it was June 25th, Thursday, June 25th of 2020. The clues came out over 5 weeks. So this past Thursday, the final clue came, no, a week ago, this past Thursday. The final clue came out. I finished the knitting on the 27th. I think I finished the knitting on Monday of this past week. And I just got around to getting the blocking done just the other day. Just yesterday. So it's dry, it's all stretched out, it's all blocked, and all I can say is that blocking is pure magic. I never failed to be amazed to see the difference between an unblocked and a blocked item. It blows me away every single time. What I'm going to do is I will insert a couple pictures in here The first one is a picture of the shawl. I'll have it just laying on the ground or on my living room floor. And you get an idea of what it looked like when it was all scrunchy bunchy and unblocked. Looked kind of pretty, but not near as pretty as it could be. The second picture I'll post up here is the one where I have it pinned out on my blocking mats. And I didn't stretch it out a lot, a fair bit. It was somewhat aggressive blocking. And so the second picture is going to show you what it looked like while it was on the blocking mats. And now you can see here it is being worn. There's probably all kinds of ways it can be worn. For now, I'm just going to, often with a shawl, I honestly like it just for warmth. I often like it to keep my shoulders warm, to keep the back of my neck warm, and keep my arms warm. I find that shawls and these type of things are really nice to have especially in my living room or in my craft room in the winter time, because this end of our apartment is cold and drafty in the winter time. So here it is. Let me take this off because there is no need for wearing a nice gorgeous shawl in southern Pennsylvania in the beginning of August. It's hot, it's humid, it's probably close to 90 degrees outside. It's not that cold in our apartment, even though I do have the air conditioner on. It's still not extra cold in here. But we'll just take a look at this. So here's what it looks like blocked. So a lot of this was hard to see when I was trying to show it to you while I was knitting it. So I'm just going to kind of scooch this up so you can hopefully get a better look at what the patterning looks like. So the stitches weren't overly complicated. They were mostly knits. A few here we had, I think it was a star stitch, is what it was called. So it wasn't hugely complicated, but it's so pretty. I absolutely love it. I just think it turned out so nice. And as I said, blocking is absolutely and totally pure magic. So it's kind of hard to get it all in frame. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get it lined up and put on my mannequin Tabitha, and I'll get a few more pictures that I'll insert in here that are going to show it off a little bit better than I'm able to manage showing you right here. So this kind of gives you a little bit of a look at it, but it's a little bit too big to get it completely into frame here, but it's gorgeous. I love it. It's nice and light, and I wasn't 100% sure on my color choices when I was knitting it, but now that it's finished and blocked, I love it. I absolutely love it, and I'm really happy with it. So there we were. That was the Stillness Shawl by Helen Stewart of The Curious Handmaid, and it's a mystery knit along, and is now 100% finished object. It's knit, it's blocked, ends are all woven in. It's done. I need to get a few more, little bit more artistic-y pictures, maybe, that I will add into my Ravelry page. But I'll try to get a couple more pictures of it that I will hopefully have already inserted in the side over here for you to take a better look at some other shots of the shawl. So there we go. I had a finished object. I spent a lot of time. I spent quite a bit of my time yakking about that, but I'm really happy with it. It was a fun knit. I really enjoyed it. I kept up with it the whole time, mostly because I had a boatload of Zoom meetings that I was able to sit and knit through. So I was able to get a fair bit of knitting done while I was working at the same time. So it was kind of a bonus. I still have oodles of Zoom meetings coming up for the next 3 weeks. Oh, good grief. If anything, Zoom meetings are going to be the end of me. They're gonna do me in. They'll break me. All I can say is I'm thankful I'm able to knit through these. So that was my Stillness shawl. That was my finished object. So now I want to move on and let's take a look at my works in progress and see what else I've managed to get done this past week. So my first work in progress is my Tenya shawl, and that again it's living in my fringe supply field bag. And I've got a little bit of progress done on it. I spent a fair bit of time, mostly the past weekend, working on finishing up the Stillness shawl. So I spent most of Saturday and Sunday, my free time Saturday and Sunday, and part of Monday working on finishing off the Stillness shawl. Even though I didn't have many rows left to do, each of the rows had over 500 stitches and the bind off of over 500 stitches. It took me a little while to get through each and every row. So my Tenya shawl, or Tenya sweater, I've come back to trying to call this a shawl again. So my Tenya sweater, it's a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. I think at least half the knitting world has already knit this sweater for themselves. So like I said, I think half the knitting world has knit this sweater. I am knitting this sweater using Quince & Co. Turn in the colorway Terracotta. I'm using 3.5mm needles, or US size 3. And I'm happily moving along on the body of the sweater. Still happily working along on the body of the sweater. So the lace part at the bottom is done. It's all scrunchy bunchy. I'm excited to see how that's gonna look once that's blocked, because we know blocking is pure magic. This week I've done from the marker up to here. So I've added another little over an inch. So I still have quite a ways to go. The body I think is supposed to be, I want to think 16 inches till you start doing something for the armholes, and I want it a little bit longer. I don't want a crop sweater. I want it to come down to beyond my waist and probably to at least the upper part of my hip. So I'm probably going to add at least 4 inches of length to the body of the sweater, because again I don't have the body for a crop sweater. No one wants to see me wearing a crop sweater, including me. Nobody wants or needs to see me in a crop sweater. So this one I'm going to continue knitting. This is basically my project that I work on in the evenings while we're watching some TV and watching movies. My husband and I, since this whole pandemic blew up in March, we've watched a movie, or some of them are short, old black and white movies from the 30s and 40s on Amazon Prime, and they're only about an hour long. But we have watched some kind of show or some kind of movie at home every single night since the middle of March, when this whole pandemic flared up. And so we've maintained this. I wish we had started writing down all of the movies right from the beginning. we didn't. Oh well, too late now. So when we do watch these movies every night, that's when I work on this project. It's small enough that it's not a lot of warm fabric bunched up on my lap or on top of me. It's not too much fabric that it's too hot to work on. I'm happy working on larger projects while I'm watching Zoom meetings because I can put them on the desk and on the keyboard in front of me, and then just have my arms forward and knit from that position. But in the evenings when we're watching TV, I tend to work on my Tenya sweater. So it'll eventually be done. By the time I get it finished, my guess is that summer will be gone, and my summer sweater I'll be wearing in the fall. That's okay. I tend to run on the warm side, so I'm perfectly happy wearing short sleeves pretty much all year long. The only time I want longer sleeves is if we're watching TV in the evenings and it's at the colder end of our apartment. So there we have it. Tenya is still happily moving along, and I'm making good progress on it. I still have, like I say, I've still got a long way to go, but we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we will get there. So that's Tenya. Put her back in my fringe bag. And the second project I've been working on for the past week also is my scrap wrap. That's the back side. My mitered square sock yarn, fingering weight yarn scrap project. I initially, as I mentioned before, I've initially started this off, it was going to be a blanket, and I've opted now to where I'm going to just do it the size that it'll be a wrap or an oversized scarf to wear over my shoulders that'll cover my arms, my shoulders, my back while we're watching TV in the drafty cold living room in the winter time. So that's the plan for this project. It will be 25 squares from side to side and 13 squares, I think I put it 13 squares deep. So I needed a boatload of squares for it, but I am on the home stretch with this one. This past week I did a lot of knitting on this while I was in Zoom meetings. Once I had finished the Stillness shawl, I switched over to working on my scrap blanket while I was in Zoom meetings all week, every day for several hours, every day, all week. So over the week, I managed to add 12 more squares to this. So now I'm down to, I need 74 squares to finish this. So it's getting closer. 74 squares is still a lot. At the rate I'm going, it's still going to take me 5 to 7 more weeks to finish it, which might be good timing to have it ready for me for the fall. But I am excited to get it done so that I can switch over and start using the sock scraps for a granny stripe blanket, which I refuse to start until this is done. Once I've finished with the knitting of all the squares, I haven't decided 100%, but I think I'm going to do attached, how do you call that? I want to do an I-cord border where I'm going to pick up and do the I-cord border directly onto the squares, because each of the squares it's got a nice little border on it. It's got a perfect spot to pick up stitches all the way along. So it'll be easy to do the knit on I-cord border. It's just going to take a while because it's a long way. It's going to be a long way all the way around. So I added 12 squares, 76 left to go, or no, 74. Did I say 76 before? 74 squares left to go. So I added these 2 squares up on this end, and then on the other side, the squares that have the stitch markers on are the new squares. So 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the 2 up at the top here. So it's coming along quite nicely. This is as wide as it's going to be. So the bottom goodly amount of it is done. So I basically have this corner left to complete. So most of the ends are tucked in. I do have a few more to start. I need to tuck in a few more ends here, but I have been being very cautious about making sure that I tuck in all the ends in little batches as I go. I did not want to get to the end of this and have 50 billion ends left to tuck in. Even now, if I were to not tuck in any more ends till it was finished, that would still be 74 more squares, doubled 148 ends to tuck in. I do not want to do that all in one shot. So I usually tend to add before I start adding more squares onto this now, what I plan on doing is I'm going to go back and I'll tuck in a bunch of ends and get caught up again, and then I'll start adding more squares to it. So that one, again, I'm using scraps for it. I'm using 2.5 millimeter needles, or US 1.5 or 1.5. I'm using double point needles for that. I started out using a circular needle, and it was cumbersome. I didn't have one with a short enough cable on it, so it was like I was always it didn't work out well. So I switched over to using double point. So that's probably one of the few things I actually use double point needles for. So other random things, I did not buy any yarn this week. I actually don't think I've been anywhere to buy yarn this week. No, I haven't. So nothing new came into my house. I'm starting to contemplate a few new things I want to knit. I'm eyeing up a couple patterns to make felted coasters. I'm finding that when I have my water glass with ice in it, it just gets so wet. And even when I have a napkin underneath it, or just like a paper towel folded up underneath it, that just gets soaked. I've had them in a glass. I have glass coasters with a little edge on them, and then it just fills that part just fills up with water, and then when I take it to sip, I just have this little puddles dripping along and dripping on me. So I'm thinking I might try making a couple felted coasters. I've looked at a couple patterns for worsted weight coasters. I have some yarn that I can use with that, and I might cast those on. My only thoughts are I'm not sure how well they work for absorbing all the moisture from a water glass or drink that's coming, even if I have like a Diet Coke in a can coming out of the fridge. It's hot and humid enough that it sweats so much that I don't know if it's going to be too much for the coaster, and if that's just going to be disgusting, or if it's just going to smell like I have a wet sheep sitting beside me all the time. That might not be a bad thing. We'll decide on that after. But so that is something I'm thinking I might work on that this week. I would have to go digging through my tubs of yarn to find a couple skeins that I might want to use for that. We'll see. So you might see that next week, or you might not. I might just be contemplating it, might not get around to doing it. I might just stay eager to keep working on my scrap wrap and try to get more done on that this week. Because I really would like to get a huge dent in that and get a lot of work done on that. So we'll see. I haven't completely decided what I want to work on this week. I might also spend a bit of time and sew myself a few more face masks, or a few more for myself and for my husband. I had been thinking about doing that last week, but I just didn't get around to doing it. So work is continuing on the same. We have school semester is getting closer to getting started. University is getting closer to reopening. I've been doing a lot of thinking and planning about how exactly I plan to run and teach my classes for the fall. And currently I'm on the schedule to teach 3 courses. 2 of them are already set and scheduled to be strictly online, so I don't really have to think about those at all. The 3rd course, I had been planning on doing it face-to-face, but the more I'm hearing about different rules and options and numbers with the virus and all of these things, I've decided that I want to teach it remotely. So what will happen with that now is I'm going to have to rework the course and rethink it and map it out for teaching it over Zoom as opposed to teaching it directly in the class. I've also had a whole pile of Zoom training things. Every time I turn around, they're adding more. And like I say, I can knit through them, thankfully. That's the bright side. But it does result in pretty much every single day of the week I have appointments where I'm tied up, where I have to be doing a certain thing at a certain time. And I've recently been finding that actually kind of stressful. And thankfully the knitting is allowing me to work around that. But anyway, I don't need to unload all of this on you guys. So I think that's about it. I will get the winner announced in a separate video on the channel shortly this afternoon. Then I will get this video edited and hopefully have it posted up later on today, or worst case scenario, it'll go up early tomorrow morning. So this upcoming week, I plan on working on Tenya, and I plan on working on my scrap wrap, and hopefully I might get those coasters cast on and get some work done on those, and maybe see if I can get those made. We shall see. So I think that's about it. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you take a moment to like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That would make me so happy. My channel's still super teeny, but I would be more than happy to have more subscribers. It would make my day. It does make my day when I see I have a new subscriber. It's like, it really does make my day. As funny as that sounds, each new subscriber just brings a huge smile to my face. So I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel, ring the notification bell so you know when I have new videos coming up, and keep in touch with me. I appreciate you guys, and take care, and I will see you guys all next week. Bye now.